Welcome back to the Pro Football Hall of Fame for our second installment of season 2 of our Before the Snap series. Today featuring Ethan Medley of the New York Football Giants. Now, I'm going to say New York Football Giants. I can't do justice to Chris Berman saying it, but the New York Football Giants, and there's a whole reason we say that. We might get into that today. We might not. But what you guys are here is you guys are here today to hear from Ethan and his journey in the field of sport and all the things he went to and things he does on a day-to-day basis in his current role with the New York Giants. If you have never watched this program before, what we're here to do is we're here to talk about careers in and around the NFL. You know, when everybody gets into college, they want to be an athletic director, they want to be a coach, maybe even a pro athlete. But there are so many more cool, unique, and awesome careers out there. And we felt we wanted to get out there and showcase all of those careers to everybody we have tuning in today. And today we're going to be focused on community relations and youth football. And for us here at the Hall of Fame in the Youth and Education Department, definitely a soft spot for a career like that for sure. If you tuned in before and you're a routine viewer, great. Thank you so much for doing so. And we hope you guys learn a little bit more about different careers in and around the NFL today. My name is Jake Ray. I'm the Youth and Education Manager here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. And I'm going to kind of be running the Q&A today like always. You'll see Nathan Martin, who's going to be in our presentation center today. He's going to be asking all your questions from the YouTube chat. And then we'll have Jerry Shockey, the director of the department as well, coming live for our museum like we do every week. Our mission here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame is to honor the heroes of the game, to preserve its history, to promote its values, and to celebrate excellence everywhere. And those values we promote are those of commitment, integrity, courage, respect, and excellence. And not only make, our Hall of Famers on the football field, but it makes them better people off the field, better sons, brothers, better members of their community. And most importantly, these same values can make you a great employee in whatever organization you work for. So it's going to be cool. You might hear these values pop up so often here throughout the program today. And we just want to stress that as well, that the game of football is so great because it can teach so many life lessons that you can apply to your everyday life. Before we get started, I do want to thank a few folks. First off, I want to thank you today, Ethan, for joining us and taking time out of your busy schedule. I'll say this before we wrap up. The game of football isn't just a Sunday, Monday job. And it isn't just a job 18 weeks in the fall and the winter. It's a full-time job, truly pretty much every day of the year. And so we thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to be a part of the program today. I also like to thank our teachers and administrators, professors, whoever allowed us to come into your classroom today or maybe sent us to your students to be a part of. We appreciate you allowing us to be just a small part of your learning experience this year. And then got to thank those students. Without the students today, we wouldn't have any questions. You don't want to hear me ask questions all day. You don't want to hear Nathan ask questions all day. We want to hear what you have to ask. And in order to do that, you've got to put a comment in the live chat here on the YouTube stream. So just tell me what your name is, what school you go to, and what your question is. And Nathan will be monitoring those throughout the entire program. And we'll throw at him a few times to get those questions in. We're here for you. We're here to answer your questions that you have today. So make sure you take advantage of this great opportunity. Something, I wish I had when I was in school to learn a little bit about the careers in and around the NFL. So make sure you get your questions in. So today we are lucky and grateful to be joined by Ethan Medley, who is entering his 20th season with the New York Football Giants and serves as Director of Community Relations and Youth Football. He originally joined the organization as a planning and activations I skipped a line. As a community relations intern during the 2002 season. In his current role, he assists in planning and activation of the department's so many great community programs, including player outreach, charitable donations, community partnerships, and youth football support. He also served as Director of Sponsorship Services in the Giants Sponsorship Department from 2010 to 2016, overseeing the planning and execution of all Giants corporate partnerships. He graduated from Ithaca College with summa cum laude honors and a degree in sport management in 2001 and earned a master's degree in sports administration from UMass Amherst, which I know we've had some students connect in before here in 2002. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome our special guest today, Mr. Ethan Medley. Ethan, welcome to Before the Snap.
I appreciate it, Jacob. Thanks for the invitation to come on today.
Awesome. No problem. We appreciate you taking time out of your day. I know I'm excited. Nathan is, Jerry is, and hopefully all of our students tuning in today are excited to hear a little bit more about your career with the Giants. So we'll start there. Kind of give a good base of what you do as the director of community relations and youth football with the Giants. What's your day-to-day look like and some of the things you're in charge of?
Yeah, our job is really to create effective partnerships in the community with a lot of nonprofits, charitable organizations. Get to know what our players care about and want to be involved with during their time here as New York Giants. Certainly the youth football space is a lot about providing resources and great moments and celebrating the game and connecting with coaches and highlighting the great kids that are playing this game and the game that's making these kids great. And we try to do that in a bunch of ways. Community relations has expanded in its scope a lot. I think in my time, you can do a lot of work with hospitals and schools, et cetera. But the social justice work that has really developed and become a key element in the last decade, and just all the work around just our players and how sophisticated they're getting in their outreach and their giving, their own personal foundation work, just supporting those programs. It really makes it a nice. This job changes day to day, right? You're doing a bunch of different things. It's just been a great experience. It's something that is as fun today as the day I first started.
Yeah, it's very unique because, like you said, it does change. It's not the same job, every day. And that's something we see here at the Hall of Fame as well, whether it's, for us, it's a field trip or a video conference or a program like Before the Snap or something with our Hall of Famers. It is truly something different every day. And to work for an NFL organization, you see that kind of twofold. So not only is it different, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And I know that's just the typical. I know it's way more than that. But, you have game day as well. So when it comes to game day, does your role change at all? Or what does a game day for you look like?
Yeah, I mean, game day is really an opportunity for us to, well, first off, it's game day, right? It's the reason we exist. And there's a lot of excitement and intensity around that, which is awesome. But it also provides us really meaningful opportunities to highlight the programs that we're working on. That the league has in place as well, that we're localizing and have our own special relationships for. It's an opportunity for us to use it for hospitality and bring people that we've done community work in and just kind of share how special we think they are. Give them a little spotlight, put them in front of 80,000 fans and say, here's what we think is really meaningful, and give our fans a way to support as well. So game day is special in that regard, and we just try to maximize our opportunities.
And you mentioned already that, you truly love what you do. And, in just how long, 7 minutes we've been running this, you can see that you have a passion for what you do. But, you always wanted the cliche frame is, know your why you do what you do. So why do you love coming into work every day as the director of community relations and youth football for the Giants?
Yeah. And I'm going to try to be not too redundant today when we talk about this for a while, but it's all about people. For me, I think is really the hallmark is I just enjoy people. I enjoy being of service. I enjoy this opportunity that this job gives me to use my day job for my life's work, which really is just sharing kindness and an opportunity to celebrate people that are doing some really amazing things. It is an inspiring job there, especially in the New York territory. I mean, it's every charity that you could ever want to mention. There's 1 million kids alone in the New York City school district, right? Like the number of people that you have the opportunity to engage with is, you're never going to get to everybody, but when you really get into the cream of the crop, and some of the special things that we have a moment to celebrate and get involved with, the people just blow you away. And I just enjoy being around that. I just enjoy the people that this job brings into my life on an annual, daily, monthly basis.
And we usually ask this question, further along in the program, but I want to jump into it because we are kind of moving that way. Here at the Hall, and I'm sure it's the same with the Giants, we're unapologetically football. We know that there's life lessons that everything out there can teach, but, we work in football, so we're going to focus on what the game of football can teach. So, being involved in the game and working for an NFL organization for 20 plus years now, what do you believe the game of football can teach those who play it, coach it, watch it, work in it? What is so special about the game of football?
I mean, I think everybody that's been around this game long enough to tell you there's no greater team sport, right? I mean, the teamwork element to this and caring about those people around you, being accountable with your opportunity, and just, making sure that everybody can depend on you, and that when somebody else needs assistance, that you're there to cover them, is the greatest piece that we come out, and it just gets into your bones here. I mean, it's just something that, if you're a New York Giant, we always try just to create an environment where we're all pulling in the same direction, and our, another department needs help, you're there and you treat their priorities like it's your priority. And I think the powerful thing about football too is, and I don't think a lot of companies have to create this or repeat it over and over again. There's not a single person that walks in this building that doesn't know what our organizational goal is, right? So it's defined, it's clear, it meets you in the lobby when you walk in, and there's no doubt about that. And we all have our own roles that feed into that piece, but there's no doubt about what we're trying to accomplish every single day that we walk in here. And maybe community relations, maybe people think, oh, you got to get a little creative, figure out how that helps the New York Giants win football games. All I can tell you is we're a piece of this organization being special. We're a part of our players, our coaches, our staff, feeling like this is a great place to come to work, and that it provides additional opportunity to really be proud about who we are. It is core to a lot of players' identity, and I know why I'm here. But I just think that's another powerful piece about being a New York Giant.
And as we get some questions to pile in here from some students, I want to kind of take that and go a little deeper in there. And I think sports, especially working for an NFL organization, is truly unique because, you have the business side, you work on that business side, but then there's a whole football side too, and everybody sees the football team on the field, but they usually don't know what goes on behind the scenes. And I think it's really cool how some of those, they work together. And like you said, everybody kind of works in the same heartbeat. So kind of just give us an example. How does somebody like your head coach, Coach Judge, and you in the community relations department, how do you guys work together? And how are you guys communicating what those goals are as a full umbrella Giants organization?
Yeah, I think, part of, when a coach comes in is just figuring out, exactly what his, plan and purpose is for each group, and how he wants to engage with each department, what communication is going to look like. Kudos to Coach Judge. He came in with a very clear vision that this team would represent the city that it plays for, and that it would make that city proud, and that it would know the city that it represents. And so for us, he divided our team up into 9 groups. Every group is responsible for one of the 5 boroughs, and then 4 other 3 New Jersey cities and 1 New York city, upstate New York. And then each group gets to plan really what they want to spend their time focused on, and then we pair them with a partner that can help them accomplish their goal and that they can support in their outreach. It's really been a powerful community effort for us. We call it Team of Teams because there's 9 teams within the New York Giants, and they're all doing powerful things all around social justice and just community support. It's very powerful, and that's in addition to all the programs that we have taking place throughout the year, some of which are NFL programs and some of which are just local and specific to the Giants. But it's really been a powerful program for us. And the way that Coach Judge wanted to make sure that every player that walks onto this team had a defined role to get to know their community, serve their community, and represent their community.
Very cool. Very cool. That's one of the coolest relationships I think I've heard. And it's cool to see that, sometimes, you get these big head coaches that come in, these big personalities that they're there to coach and win football games. But it's really cool to see that, he kind of embraced like, hey, let's embrace the community, make a difference outside the lives, outside the field or outside the white lines. I know we got some questions coming in, so I'm going to take this time, throw it out to Nathan Martin, the Youth and Education Coordinator here at the Hall of Fame, who's in our presentation center. So a little different setup today, but he's still doing the same stuff, looking for all these great questions we have our students submitting today. So Nathan, I'll let you take it away.
Awesome, Jake. Thank you so much for sending it over here. And Ethan, thanks again for joining us today for Before the Snap. And our first question I got from a student, and this is from Bryce. He's a sophomore at the University of Pittsburgh, and he wants to know, what type of majors in your experience working for the Giants do you typically see in your successful interns and even coworkers? What are the majors that people are getting in? Maybe he's undeclared as a sophomore and he's trying to figure out, what do I need to study in school?
Yeah, I think that's I think my answer to that is you first need to find out what your passion is, because you can go a bunch of directions. We have so many jobs with so many functions, with so many educational backgrounds to them. And so one thing that, whenever I speak to student groups or speak to a student individually, my thing is always this: you got to find your TIE, which is, I say, if you combine these three things in life, you found a dream job. So your T is something you have a natural talent for. Your I is something that you think is important beyond a paycheck, and your E is something you enjoy doing. If you can combine your talent with something you think is important and something that gives you moments of enjoyment, you've literally found a dream job that you have the shot of being the best in the world at. And then you got to find an educational piece that guides you along that and gives you opportunities to learn and practice. So that would be my thing. Is right now, when you're in college, try everything. Like, get your hands on everything. Try volunteer at events. Try different classes, and then the hard thing is you got to find out what you have a talent for and what you think is important and what you want to pursue. And you really want to be specific when you're looking for a job, because I think we all get people that reach out that like, hey, I can do this. I'm a little bit of that. I kind of like that. I tried this. I like that. I'm open to anything. We get a lot of people that are like, hey, I'll sweep the floors for you, right? Like, I just want to get into the industry. My problem is I don't hire the person that sweeps the floors here. So I'm looking for people that want to do community outreach. I'm looking for people that have practiced and experienced community outreach. I want people that come out and have branded themselves as, community or social work, or people that just enjoy the job description that I'm responsible for, and have proven that they've taken the time to kind of experience that and know that that's really true for them. So, of course, there's things that are going to be core. I think communication is key to any job. And I always say this: your ability to communicate determines how high up in an organization you can go, because you can be great at a job, but if you can't explain it, if you can't motivate others in your words, if you can't put it down in writing and make it concise, you're never going to be the boss, right? You're never going to be the one that's ultimately guiding the direction on things, because communication is key. So I think that for instance, I was a sport management major. I was a public relations and advertising minor as an undergrad, right? And that gave me a lot of communication experience. But I just think, finding something that you love doing is the first step, and align it with your talents. But the most important thing is finding something that you think is important, even beyond what income you're going to receive out of it, because that's what keeps you coming into work every day motivated. When your job is important to you, you wake up and you know that you got to get out of bed. It's got to happen, and we're going to have a great day, right? We're going to attack our problems head on, and we're going to move the ball forward today. So that's kind of my guiding advice to everybody.
Yeah, I think that's some powerful stuff. I saw Jake start writing that down when you were talking about it, your TIE. I started writing it down. Hopefully our students, are taking notes with some of that stuff. And I think the advice you were giving there, I mean, that was amazing. We could probably end the program right there. But I've got some more questions from students, and I'm going to apologize in advance because I might butcher how you pronounce her name, but I think it's to China, and she's a student at Florida A&M. And kind of to piggyback off of Bryce's question, she says, what specific experience are you looking for, or maybe the Giants looking for, when you apply for a job in the NFL? How can I stand out with my experience when I'm putting in that resume for an internship or an entry-level job in the NFL? What's going to make me stand out?
Yeah, well, I'll say this. I think a few things are going to be core, right? Like, everybody's coming in with a 3-point something GPA, right? That's kind of like what you see on resumes. Otherwise, you don't see it, right? So, but I think one thing about resumes and experience is you should write your resume to match every single opportunity that you're applying for. Your resume doesn't have to look the same for any two positions that you might be pursuing simultaneously. And you need to craft your resume to represent what's specific to this moment and to the job that you're pursuing. And I'm not telling you to go pursue jobs that are out of your wheelhouse, but what I'm saying is write your resume for that specific moment and opportunity. You should be going out there and acquiring bullet points every moment of your life as a college student. Every month, you should have a few things that you've added that are meaningful. You should be acquiring contacts and people that you network with. You should be hitting your alumni directory hardcore. I mean, put it in your calendar. Thursday at 1:00, I'm going to try to arrange phone calls with alumni from my school who are doing exactly what I want to do one day. Those types of things are powerful pieces and can really guide your career. Everybody that gets into this needs somebody to reach out and pull them in, right? And that comes through people and relationship. So acquire as many relationships as you can while you're in school. I think networking is, people talk a lot about it. Everybody knows it's core to career development, but not a lot of people literally treat it as an assignment when they're in college to just acquire genuine relationships with people. It doesn't take much, but it does take a little diligence, and it's an outreach. I try everything. I acquire all these moments in my life, and then figure out which ones fit on the resume for that moment.
Yeah, for sure. I think the point you made about having different resumes really is something that I think more students need to hear, because a lot of times you make your resume for that assignment in class and that's just what you send everywhere. You don't start thinking specifically like, oh, in the job description it says this, so maybe I should highlight this versus that. So I think that's great advice that you provide to the students. And then obviously the networking piece, like you said, everyone talks about it, but who actually takes that next step and does it at a high level? And I just want to let the students know that are watching, we put Ethan's LinkedIn page. We put a link to that. Feel free to connect with him on there. Let him know that you saw him on Before the Snap. And then maybe ask a genuine question, and I'm sure he'd be more than willing to shoot you back whenever he gets a spare moment. I also want to encourage the students, keep sending your questions. We've got another 20 or 30 minutes or so in the program. It's going to be a lot better if you're asking the questions as opposed to myself or Jake. But for now, I'm going to send it back to Jake for some more questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Nathan. And yes, and I'm going to do my job and I'm going to send it somewhere else. So like Nathan said, nobody wants to hear me ask any questions. So you guys want to see some interesting stuff here today. So what we're going to do is we're going to send it out to our museum. And a lot of people think, well, why are you sending it out to your museum? It has nothing to do with community relations, or I'm not getting to hear Ethan answer some great questions. But what we're going to do, part of our mission here is to preserve the history of this great game of football, and everything we have on display in our museum, you can tie back to some career. And that's what we're here to show you. Not only showcase you what's in our museum, but to show how great and how cool it is to tie all those things back into somebody like Ethan and things he does on a day-to-day basis. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to send it out to our Pro Football Today gallery, where Jerry Shockey, also a 20-year vet here in the sports industry, not calling him old or anything, also a 20-year vet here at the Hall of Fame, in front of some very cool artifacts that we get here every year at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So Jerry, the floor is yours.
All right. Thank you, Jake. Nathan, thank you. And Ethan, a special thank you to you for joining us here today to educate young people on taking the next step in their life and their journey. So as Jake said, my name is Jerry Shockey. I'm the Director of Youth and Education here. I am a 21-year vet here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So I've been in the sports industry for a long time here and working with NFL teams and all kinds of stuff. But today, we are here in our Pro Football Today gallery, where the stars from the game today are honored in a record-breaking moment. So it's not just about a whole bunch of old stuff. You come in here, and if I flipped it over, you see Derrick Henry's jersey from a 99-yard run. It's an actual jersey that he wore. Aaron Donald, his jersey. So we got some really cool artifacts here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the camera around, because today I'm standing next to a pretty special case here that is full of actually the 2021 NFL draft cards. So bear with me here as I flip my camera around so you guys can, and you see the Aaron Donald. I can even just show you guys that real quick. Adam Vinatieri, Derrick Henry, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen. You can see all those. But let me zoom in here and show you guys this display. Players like the whole first round. Players like Trevor Lawrence. You can see Justin Fields, and Jake will always say it, from the Ohio State University. We have, if we go back here, though, and it's kind of hard to see. Hopefully you guys can see it. There is a first-round draft pick wide receiver named Kadarius Toney out of the University of Florida, who was the New York Football Giants 20th round pick. And so, this brings up an interesting thing. And let me flip this back around so I can see myself here. There we go. All right. And so this brings up something interesting because, Ethan, we know very well, because this is what we do for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, is we work with our Hall of Famers and send them out in the communities and do programs with them, much the way the NFL teams do with their players. But let's talk about especially rookies. And so when these guys come in, it's a dream, obviously to get paid to play football, play something they love to do. But a lot of these guys, even at the young age, understand the platform that they have been given to do good in their communities. What's it like for you, and what's it mean to you to come alongside these players to give them opportunities to, in some cases, change people's lives?
Yeah, I mean, it's special. And these players certainly, I think, come in with an understanding of the opportunity and the platform. They also understand they have a unique opportunity just to be around and learn from some really special individuals, right? So in a lot of positions, we're able to connect our players with really special learning opportunities, or have access to things that, a normal citizen, would have a hard time arranging or scheduling. And so we take both the opportunity to give our players great learning opportunities, but also the outreach is special. And we try to do that, especially with the rookies in group form. Certainly at the New York Giants, every single rookie is included in our team of teams work, where they're a part of groups that have, a lot of veterans and team captains on them. But specific to the rookies, one of our traditions has been, an annual hospital visit together, where they all dress up for Halloween and go out and visit the hospitals. And it's a lot of fun. I mean, that's super easy. It may not be a comfortable moment sometimes when you, or know the right thing to say to a family that's, going through one of the toughest periods of their lives. But when you do it in a group environment, it certainly makes it easier. We do some Thanksgiving outreach together as a rookie class. Those are some of the hallmarks of a rookie community experience. And then certainly we have guys that come in, they've got, something specific that they want to do, a family, history of something that they, want to use their time and celebrity to work on behalf of. And then it really just comes down to getting to know the individual player and just kind of, letting them handle football, get used to being a New York Giant, giving them a few team opportunities, and then seeing if there's some individual things that they want to pursue in their first year as well. But all things in good time. But group and team are core to how we get these guys out together. And these guys are coming out of a lot of collegiate programs that are do a lot of outreach on their own too, right? I mean, this is not their first time stepping out and being involved in charitable work as an athlete on their team.
And let me just follow up on that. What's that like for you, being given the opportunity to create learning experiences and potentially change young people's lives? Because what I've noticed in 21 years, it seems like CR departments, people stay a little bit longer in CR departments. It seems to be you see a lot of jumping around other departments, and that's the way you work your way up in sports. But it seems like I've got a lot of friends like, Renee Harvey in Cleveland or somebody like that, or Jennifer Kansing. They seem to stay a lot longer in those positions with the same team because they're passionate about that. So what's that mean to you? Obviously, you have a passion for this.
Yeah, no, it's passionate. I like to think I'm a curious person as well. I love learning alongside these players, right? So I know if I'm doing something that gets me engaged or is around a topic that our players have an interest in, I have an opportunity to really be there as well and learn alongside them. So I think part of it is just creating meaningful experiences and creating those environments and finding people that can really engage our players in a meaningful way. I think maybe that's a part about staying around so much. This is relationship driven and comes from experience, and maybe there's some benefit to maintaining relationships over a long time. But yeah, it's exciting. It definitely keeps you fired up, and when you're in an environment where you can learn and just be around good people, incredible people, honestly. That doesn't get old. That never gets old. So I say all the time, like, I struggle, right? I mean, I recognize I've been here 20 years. I also recognize that maybe it's not ideal to do one job for your whole life, right? Like, what am I missing that's out there in the world? But I struggle, like, what gives me these moments that I have here as a New York Giant? I mean, the breadth of excitement, learning, purpose that exists for me in this job, that is my TIE. It's hard to find anything that comes close.
And I think Jake and Nathan and myself definitely would agree that this is this job here is a TIE for us as well. So thank you, Ethan. I appreciate the insight. And Jake, I'm going to send things back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jerry. Ethan, I think that we couldn't agree. Like Jerry said, what you said there is we could have repeated almost word for word when we were asked kind of the same question. So it's very cool to see that. Jerry, you kind of touched on some of those things that you get to do with these players in the community, and it kind of warms your heart a little bit. But on the flip side of that, working in sports, does give you the opportunity to be involved in some things that not a lot of people get to do. So I'm going to throw this out there. Over your 20 years, and kind of have an idea where this answer is going to be, but if you had to pick one moment from your career, looking back on it, that was your favorite moment while working with the Giants, whether it's a Super Bowl or a big game, or it might be a community event that you got to take place in. What's that moment that stands out to you as your favorite with your time at the Giants?
Yeah. I mean, you're never going to beat the Super Bowls. Just, to have two Super Bowl experiences that went well is unbelievable. And when you have that ring that everybody else has and the people that are connected to that, I mean, you just think about the people that are associated with those moments. We're celebrating the 10th anniversary of our most recent Super Bowl this year, and we're bringing those guys back, and just those relationships are just as key today as they were when that moment happened. And just even the staff, the people, it's all about the people. It really is. Everybody will tell you the players, what they miss most when they retire is the locker room, right? The games are great, but they miss the locker room. People are what makes football great. And so those moments where you're together, I mean, sometimes it's like you miss training camp, you miss the time after practice ends, and we're used to be in Albany, New York, and we'd be sitting around just telling jokes, and we had no place to go, and you just bond together that way. Or our trips that we took, the crazy things that happened on the road with just logistics or things like that you laugh about 10 years later. Those are the things that bond you together as a family. I've also had community moments that are just unbelievable. And we played the first ever international game against the Dolphins in 2007. Just being part of that trip and the logistics and taking on jobs that weren't community related at all, but just to make the trip go smoothly. I went to Indonesia and Sri Lanka after the tsunami, I think 2005, with Amani Toomer, Kurt Warner. Met Tony Richardson out there, who we see all the time, and he's never even played for us, and we're like, hugging up every time we see each other. So those are powerful moments that aren't necessarily, that Indonesia trip was unbelievable. What you saw with your eyes was not pleasant, but we were there to support, just powerful charities that were working to lend a hand, and the NFL players got involved, and there I was. So
I think that's cool because you feel like you want a job in the NFL, and you want that job for Sundays or for Mondays or to have a Super Bowl ring. There is that motivation to working in sports, get to be a part of all these big events. But even you right there said you might have taken more away from a trip after a tsunami to a foreign country that sticks with you more down the road. It kind of relates to LaDainian Tomlinson, in his enshrinement speech or in an interview. He said, his on the field accolades, so those on the field moments that you get to be a part of, those one day are going to kind of fade away. But everything that you impacted in your lives and in the lives that you get the impact off the field, that doesn't leave. And you'll always get to remember those moments. So I think sports, again, a lot of things we're talking about today are twofold. And I think we get to see that with those experiences as well. Looking back at your job and things you do on a day-to-day basis, there's so much technology out there. I think the last 18 months has specifically kind of helped boom that a little bit. And there's always opportunity out there to continue to learn. Once you get a job, once you graduate college, get a job, the learning, you just don't stop. That you're constantly learning and evolving every day that you have that job. So for you, especially, you've been in the game for a while. How do you continue to learn and evolve and make yourself the best employee for the Giants you can be?
Yeah, I mean, you got to stay up on your skills, and I think that's one thing that you're struggling with, right? Because just getting your day job done is key. There's so much things that like life brings to you that are learning experience. I think sometimes you just take on more and more things, and you have to just get it done to be great at them, right? So one thing that's happened, I've been the director of youth football for the last 5 years now after coming back to community relations. We didn't really get into, I spent 6 years in our sponsorship group, and we can talk about that. But so transitioning back, taking over this role again is, so now my son's 10, right? So for the last few years, I've been able to coach his flag football team. And now like he's playing tackle football for the first time this year, and just being involved in that process and taking everything that I learned, or that we would, for years, I'd be planning these, these coaching, moments for youth football coaches come in and learn best practices. Right. And then now I had the chance to actually apply those things in my community as the coach of my youth football team. And that was something that, I was like, oh, do I have enough time to do this, or, what have you? And you just go for it, right? And I think a lot of people get into coaching because it's when their kid starts, and, you need parents to step up and do those things. But I mean, just saying yes to opportunities and having to be great at those moments, because you're never going to let yourself down or you never want to drop the ball, I think is a great way to keep growing your skills, and just being involved in things that, you have the capacity to do. There's so much reading that you can do. I think we all struggle to read as much as we would like to. But I just say yes to more and more things, and then you just got to be prepared for each of those moments. I go on and on about things that I've gotten involved with in the last few years, but I'm part of our organization's D&I committee here. There's been a lot of work. There's been a lot of learning to make sure that we're up on the ball. A lot of research on best practices, just things that we could do better. Certainly in my free time, I've got things that I volunteer for or associated, that things that I care about. And you just got to step your game up constantly.
All right. I couldn't agree more. And it's very cool to see how, your job in the office does relate to your life outside of football, where still being involved in the game, still being involved with the team. And it is kind of a cool, unique thing where you get to apply some of the things that you've taught to your own, situation. So I think that's very cool. I'm going to throw it back out to Nathan now. Got some questions again on our YouTube chat, and he's going to get through those. So Nathan, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Awesome. Thanks again, Jake. So our next question coming off YouTube is from Victoria, and she's works in a school. She said she sent this out to all of her middle school and high school students. So she's hoping that they're tuning in, and she wants to know, are there internships or ways that high school students could get involved, volunteering or working for an NFL team to start gaining experience? And if that isn't a possibility, what would be some other ways that you would recommend they, as a high schooler, start getting experience in the sports world, I guess?
Yeah, it's I would say it's unusual for high schoolers to have a lot of opportunities at the NFL level. We're typically not your first internship. But that being said, you don't need NFL experience to get NFL experience. We're looking for relevant experience. And so, assisting your town football program in any way, in any capacity, that's event management, right? That is game day. That is football. A lot of our functions are no different. I recognize how similar it is to work for the high school team, or for even the youth level program. The amount of coordination and communication that goes into that, the things that have to get done for a game day to go well at that level is the same. I think when we were all get started, one of the first assignments I had, even going into college, was intro to sport management. Call 3 people that are doing a job that you want to do one day. And, my first internship experience came out of a phone call to the general manager, Ken Williams, from the United States Basketball League, the Atlantic City Seagulls, which doesn't even exist anymore, right? End of that phone call, how can I get my foot in the door? Come work for me for free this summer, right? Like, drove an hour and a half, 2 hours each way, took the box score during the game, send it out to the radio station and the newspaper afterwards, and my only compensation was a dinner afterwards with like the 10 players and staff. Drive back home, go back for the next game day. But that was my first bullet point. And then I had a guidance counselor in college, my advisor, that got me into the Philadelphia Phillies, and 2 summers in the ticket office. So you just keep building on things. I go on and on. It doesn't even need to be sports experience. One of my most meaningful internships was at a hospital, working in PR and advertising with a gentleman that was taking over in the marketing and PR role and branding and just doing everything new from scratch. And I was sitting in a focus group interviews. I was hearing how he was thinking and what his vision was. And I got paid more per hour than I ever did in sports in that internship, right? And just crafting those experiences. So finding local opportunities, as long as it's opportunities for growth and is providing you meaningful moments to accrue bullet points in your life, take it. Let's go.
Yeah, 100%. I think what you said there about just go talk to the local football program, whether it's high school, you're helping in youth football, you're getting event management skills right there. As you get a little bit older, high school, early college, don't be afraid to make those phone calls to people that have those jobs, those careers, because you never know what doors might open up because of that. And your story is kind of just an example of that right there. The next question I have here, and it might be our last question coming from our participants here on YouTube. Jake, I'll let you know if we get more, but if not, this is going to be the last one coming from me. So Ethan, this is from Kiva, and she attends Winona State University, and she wants to know, what are the entry-level positions available with the New York Giants? And then I think an even better question she asked, what is the work culture like working for the New York Giants and just working in the NFL in general?
Sure. So I would say primarily internships are the starting point, and then on occasion there's job openings, or we're growing a department, or there might be 1 or 2 spots here or there in a role. We've recently grown our customer service side on the ticketing piece, right, or on the sales side. So when those jobs come available, sometimes you're looking for people with experience, but for the most part, we're looking for training camp internships, summertime options, which are available for current college students. And then we're looking for season long, which are like recent graduates, people that are coming on in. It's a great way to interview for multiple, months and show what you're bringing to the table, show your personality. In terms of like the environment, what you can expect in sports, I think some of it depends on the job function. I think there's certain roles where you're 7 days a week, right? You're traveling. You're basically embedded with the team nonstop. There's certain roles where it's a little bit more of weekdays and maybe some evenings and things like that. I just think you gotta love it. You gotta love the job. I don't think it's much different in that regard from any other job. I just think it's a very enjoyable job, though. I think the people that are in this industry, if you can really get into it and you enjoy your function, there's nothing better. To have a job and then also be a part of an organization that comes in on Monday, either feeling, a true joy and elation, or, feeling like you just got punched in the stomach, right? Like that sitting on top of your job function is, it's powerful. And when it's going well, there's nothing better. And when it's not going well, it hurts. I mean, it literally hurts. I would miss that if I didn't have that piece. I love being at a team. I love being part of a team. Being a New York Giant is it's almost like core to my personal identity, which may not even be healthy, right? But it is what it is. Like, I'm a New York Giant. I love it. I think a lot of people would say that. So It's a great environment. You know, you gotta bust your butt. I don't think there's a lot of places that you're showing up and not having to, and that not being true. So, and I've always been a New York Giant, right? I don't have a lot of work experience at other places, so it's hard for me to even compare to other places. But it's a special place.
Yeah, I think when you were talking about the culture there, just you mentioned you enjoy it. You know, you enjoy your job, and that kind of goes back to the TIE that you talked about earlier at the end. You got to find something that you really can enjoy and be passionate about. And
Yeah. Well, and not every day is going to be great, right? And which is really when it matters, because you know if you're gonna be great at a job, or if you're eventually going to be a director or vice president or whatever, you end up with just dealing with the headaches, right? Ended up dealing with the things that nobody else could solve, or the things that had to be brought up, or the things that you got to like clear out of the way. And your job better be worth that, right? Otherwise, just combat pay at the end of the day, right? So just enjoying the job enough to take on any roadblocks, problems, issues that are arising becomes core down the road, especially as you advance in your career. Because the easy stuff everybody else is enjoying and doing, and the hard stuff is what you end up kind of focusing your time on. So it better be worth it to you, just for you to come in and be excited about the day.
Yeah, for sure. I think where you said you're not going to enjoy every day, that is so true. And a lot of times when you're a student, and I can remember even when I was a student a couple of years ago, it's like you want that quote unquote dream job, and you think everything's going to be unicorns and rainbows or whatever, where it's like, every day is great, but really at the end of the day, you want a job that you enjoy, and more days than not, you're going to be like, this is awesome. This is great work. This is amazing stuff that I get to do. But no matter what you do, you're going to have days where you're like, that sucked. That really sucked that I had to deal with that. And then I like too, you said, and I think it just shifts the mindset for our students that are watching, when you get that internship, whether it's a game day thing, so you're just showing up on game days, it's a 3-month summer internship, it's a full season internship, viewing that as, you think, oh, I interviewed, I got the internship, awesome, yay for me. But now you need to view every day that you show up as another interview. You need to put your best foot forward so that if there is an open position at the end of this, you'll be the one that they want to bring on board. So I think what you said there was great advice for our students. And I just want to thank you, Ethan, for joining us. I know Jake will probably have a couple of other questions to wrap things up, but and thank you so much. I think your advice was amazing.
Yeah, if you don't mind, for people that are just starting out, like some of the basics are so easy, they get overlooked. And I just think, coming in with a good personality, right? Just being able to care about people around you is key. I always say this, just come in and be a trash collector. There are so many at every organization you walk into. I promise you this will be true. There's a ton of tasks that have to get done every day, that are mundane, that don't receive much praise, that people would rather be doing other things. Find out what those tasks are, find out exactly how they're being done, be excited about taking them on, and do them exactly the way that the person before you was doing them, and then you own them. And then if you can improve them, even better, right? But like the process to that, but take on those tasks that are arduous but are mandatory, right? Otherwise they wouldn't be on the docket, right? But take them on, own them, do a great job with them. I say if you show people how you treat the trash like gold, people know how you're going to treat the gold when you get your hands on it, right? Just acquire those responsibilities, be excited about doing them, do them with a smile on your face, even if you got to fake it till you own it, and just treat everything that with dignity and respect. Again, the Hall of Fame values stand up here. You can take those into the workplace and succeed with them.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate all the gems that you're dropping. It's really awesome stuff. Hopefully our students, like we said, are taking notes, that they're listening to you and taking this stuff to heart. But Jake, I'm going to send it back to you for the last couple questions.
Awesome. Thanks. Yes. I love that line. That one hit there, that the trash to gold there. That's very cool. Got some questions here. Now we've talked a little bit about, your career and what the job force is like. But we did do our research, and by we, I mean Nathan did our research. And we found out that, not only did you spend time with, 20 years with Giants, but you were also a statistician for the New York Knicks for 6 years. I want to talk a little bit about that because I do have a feeling we can kind of get into some professional networking, and that's kind of how these jobs came about. So can you talk a little bit about how you got that, what you do, and was that just a passion? You're just a big basketball guy, big Knicks fan, and you just happened to stumble upon something like that?
Yeah, so definitely love basketball. It was one of those things where, trying everything, right? Obviously, I talked about my time with the Atlantic City Seagulls, and just that was a little bit of statistical work, even though it was like pen and paper, right? Like, just traditional charting. And then when I started at the Giants, our statistician and John Berger, I was working and doing games in the evening for the Knicks, and he's like, hey, I'm talking about like $75 to walk in the door, sit mid court, courtside, and just enter in the game as it's happening. It's just, an unbelievable opportunity. It just came from getting to know my coworker and him getting to know me, right? And I did that for many years. And literally, I'm talking about like, you just head down. It's a 4-person function. You got 2 callers calling out the action, and you're just literally at a laptop with a stylus, punching in everything as it's happening: shot location, made miss, who was the player, who was the assist by, and that all comes into like the box scores and the advanced numbers that are coming out of basketball. Like when you're actually the one entering that stuff, how it all works, right? And just another funny story for everybody that's on. So my second day on the job, it was NBA and WNBA. So I showed up. I had to work a Liberty game, and for the most part, I had just been sitting like not even at the table, like behind them. So I never even touched the laptop. And when I can tell you, this is not an easy system. I was supposed to be the support person with a primary inputter next to me. Person was not able to make it that day, and so the PR person comes to me. They're like, "You're going to be the primary inputter today." I had never even touched the laptop on this thing. And when I tell you that box score was unusable, right? Like I had moments where the computer thought the other team even had the basketball. That's how off I was with what I was doing. But point being, you learn, and I wasn't afraid to come back to work the next day. And it just was what it was. And it was a bad experience. I felt terrible. I was completely out of my element. I just wasn't even trained enough to step up to the moment. But you get put in those positions. One thing I've learned is there's nothing that's broken me yet, right? Like just keep putting yourself in positions, learning, and that was a great 6-year run to be able to see the best players in the world come and play basketball 5 feet in front of your face. Just a powerful experience, and something that it's just a lifetime joy, right? Being involved in these and two amazing games, NFL and the NBA, in one lifetime is unbelievable.
Never been to the Garden, but I have heard it's a very, very special place to take in a game, and to be courtside is very cool. So I just wanted to touch on that because it does, like I said, it's networking. You're getting to know not only people outside of your organization, but the people inside your organization, just as important as well. Running down on time here, and I want to be respectful of all of our viewers as well as your time. And we're going to wrap up with one last question. And if you've ever seen this program before or a Harvard Hall of Famer, you know what question's coming. And this is, kind of how we sum up everything we talked about today. There's been so many good gems, whether it's the trash, the gold, the tie acronym, so many good things that have come out of this that even Nathan and I are going to take away. If you can sum everything up we talked about today and leave everybody who watched with that, like one last nugget, one last piece of advice, what would that one piece of advice be?
It's pretty basic for me. I think there's a few things that are, I've already talked about communication being core to success. I wish there was a class in college about common sense, because I just think walking in the door with common sense is like, you're set. If you got common sense, you can make it in this industry. I promise you, you can be a star. And I'm not knocking people. I'm just telling you that's a core attribute. Knowing what to do when it wasn't exactly as described, or knowing what your plan B is sometimes as great as having a plan A. Knowing why. I always say this: if I ask somebody for a pencil and you don't know why I need the pencil, if there's no pencil, You don't know whether to grab me a pen or an eraser, right? So why did I need it, right? So just knowing why on everything that you do is just core. I think the other thing that shows true intelligence to me and is a real just a piece that just makes your life better and makes you a better employee is thinking about everything from the other person's perspective first. What you bring to the table is core to you. It's the default, right? My perspective on something, I already know what it is. It lives within me. I don't need to take time to think about it. Take time to think about the other person's perspective, and you will find winning solutions to things that have longevity, create wins on both sides, or create the best possible outcome out of a tough scenario. It'll help you in your relationships, in your marriage, your friendships, helps you at work, helps you win in a competitive environment. I just think thinking about not only makes you a better colleague and able to care about other people, but it gives you a competitive advantage every step of the way. And just learning to do that and taking the time to do it and doing it genuinely can really separate you from the bunch. And just the ability to love is just core, and that may be just a little bit removed, but it's just core. Just caring about others, having love in your heart. The closer you are to a circle, you're going to have your family or the people that are right around you, but it radiates out, right? Maybe somebody you only get 1 second to hold the door for, but can you somehow convey to them the appreciation that you have for them just because you are sharing that moment and we're here together at this one point in time, right? Like even up to that point, like how much can you care about others can really just make life pretty special and improve the work environment every day.
I can't think of a better way. I didn't think we were going to get any better than what we already had, but those were all great. And I can tell you, when you bring up love, if Jerry was in here, he would have been clapping on camera, probably saying amen to everything you just said right there, because that's something that we strive to do here, not only within our department, but the Hall of Fame as a whole as well. So definitely appreciate you bringing that up. So with that, we're going to wrap up this latest installment of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's Before the Snap series today, featuring the Director of Community Relations and Youth Football with the New York Giants, Ethan Medley. So Ethan, again, thank you so much for being a part of the program and taking time out of your busy schedule to help us out today.
I appreciate it, Jacob. Nathan, thanks for the questions. Thanks for the opportunity. And to everybody out there that, wants to do this thing, it's well within reach. It's mostly about finding people. And my final shout out, I got to thank Allison Stangaby, my boss, and Peter John Baptiste, who's with the Cleveland Browns now. But those were the two people that brought me in and gave me this amazing career. And I just can't thank them enough.
So before we leave everybody today, just a few more quick reminders. Make sure you're tuned in to all the Pro Football Hall of Fame social media channels, as well as the New York Giants, to see all the great stuff that's coming out, not only leading up to game day, but all the great community work that's being done in the communities here in Northeast Ohio and in the New York area as well. Make sure you stay tuned to all the different platforms, whether it's Twitter, Instagram. We're going to stress LinkedIn being a part of that. I tell you, I already got an email, a LinkedIn notification from somebody who watched the program today. So somebody out there has listened to what we're talking about and has gone and taken that next step. So make sure you're tuned into all that. If you're a podcast listener, you got to give a shout out to our podcast here at the Hall of Fame, The Mission, hosted by our great friend and coworker here at the Hall of Fame, Jameer Howerton. Just had Jarrett Bell, a member of our selection committee, to talk about the selection process, as well as current Hall of Famer Isaac Bruce to talk about his experiences in that as well. So make sure you give those a listen. For all of our viewers today, we've stressed how much you need to get out there and network and connect with us. But if you want to learn more about this program and kind of be the first to know when stuff comes about, shoot us an email, education@profootballhof.com. We'll throw you on the list and we'll make sure you're notified when all these great programs are being announced. Again, that's education@profootballhof.com. Next week, we here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, we get the day off. So we won't be having a program next Friday, but October 15th, we're going to have Dustin Blindert of the Detroit Lions, who is their senior new media producer. Now, I have no idea what that means. So I am looking forward to learning a little bit about his job and everything he does with the Detroit Lions. And like I said at the beginning, the game of football isn't just a job that takes place on Thursday, Sunday, or Monday, or just in 18 weeks in the fall and the winter. It is truly a 365-day full year job. And there's so many different and great opportunities out there. So we hope you learned a little about this special one today. And we hope you continue to come back and learn more on our Before the Snap series here on the Pro Football Hall of Fame's YouTube channel. So for everybody who watched today, from Ethan, from myself, Nathan, Jerry, all of our staff here at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, thank you so much. And we hope